of this coronavirus lockdown. All comedy clubs have been closed. All bars, all gyms, all restaurants. San Francisco is imposing mandatory quarantines where you have to stay home, except for vital things like getting food. Everybody's supposed to be locked down for 3 weeks and 24 hours a day. It's a strange time, and
people that can help should help. This is not a normal time. This is not a time where people are lazy. This is a time where the whole world got fucked real quick.
Yeah.
We weren't ready for it, and we're gonna have to come together. But this is a good time for people to recognize the importance of community. It's a terrible time for humanity. It's a terrible time for us, and terrible time for the people that are sick. But it's a really good time for us to understand why community is important. We live in this illusionary world that's provided to us by the culture that we've created, where you can just buy things anytime you want. You don't need people. You come home, you watch Netflix, you don't engage with anyone, you get in your car, you barely say hi to anybody at work. We're detached from each other, and this is the only time ever in life we've been detached from each other, and we're being detached by these goddamn electronics.
Yeah.
They're sneaking up on us.
Yeah.
Electronics and cars, which is also, it's also a creation, a mechanical creation, and now more than ever, they're driving computers.
Yeah, man. I think the community thing is exactly right, but also people have to maybe transcend money for a second and figure out ways to set up in their community, like, what do you need? What do I have? And then start some form of like trade or just giving people, there was someone who set up a toilet paper exchange in LA where he was just like, if you have extra toilet paper, bring it. And then he had toilet paper and he was just giving it out to people who are, I think that's the sort of thing we're going to have to start doing if we can.
Yeah.
It's like right now there's old people who, they can't do shit, man.
They can't do anything. They're terrified.
They can't even get online.
If you know them, you got to help them. And this is, this is a weird time for us, but it's a time for us to reset. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good, but I'm saying we can get a positive out of this.
Yeah.
The people that make it through, we can get a positive out of this. And the positive is community is important. It's really important. And it seemed like it wasn't important because it seemed like we had everything set up so you didn't have to engage with people. It's not the right way to do it. It's not good for anybody.
No. The other day I'm like just washing dishes during this fucking pandemic, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I feel so lucky to be washing dishes right now. I'm alive, I'm healthy. This is it was a different kind of washing dishes than a week ago when I was able to, or 2 weeks or before this shit started, when I could order anything I fucking wanted off the internet. Suddenly I'm in a different world. Well, what does it say in the Bible that we both love so much? Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And I think you could easily translate that to understanding your place in the universe should produce a kind of positive fear and trembling.
Yeah.
Not like you're anxious or terrified,
right,
but just a kind of like, whoa, this doesn't last. Nothing about this lasts. And right now, everyone around the planet is getting a first-hand glimpse of that very truth, right?
Yeah, all at once. One big dose.
One big dose of it all at once, man.
One big dose for people to recognize how much of what they concentrate on a daily basis, how much of what fills their consciousness is shit.
Yeah.
It's utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And we got tricked. We got tricked into thinking it would go on forever, and now we know it's not going to. And for people to not recognize that and just go through their life, it's just because we look at life as if what we've experienced while we're alive is the norm. But it's not. It's not the norm. It's just hard for you to recognize that your life is so short. Demons, be gone.
Be gone, demons.
Be gone.
Leave this studio!
Well, hello, boys and girls, cats and dogs, lemurs and squirrels. This is Tim Ferriss. This is a special quarantine edition, and it includes a conversation with my good friend Ryan Holiday.
The three great correctors of human population: war, pestilence, and famine, and we certainly have number two in abundance and scaling rapidly. So things have changed quite a lot. I think the word ideal is important because it is very easy to beat yourself up for not being stoic or resilient or calm enough, which in and of itself is very unstoic.
So it can turn into this spiral of self-loathing related to not being, one could say, stoic enough or simply calm enough. And so the first is to really recognize that these are ideals that I'm striving for, but that they are not a pass-fail hurdle. In that respect. The second is I've been doing a lot of rehearsal, so premeditatio malorum, rehearsing of the worst case scenarios,
and combining that with the fear setting exercise that I tend to do, which is really just a written practice of writing out the worst case scenarios, what you could do to decrease the likelihood of them happening, what you could do to decrease the damage if they do happen, etc., etc. And a big part of that for me has been deeply envisioning the worst case scenarios and what they would not just look like but feel like to observe. I have had many struggles throughout this coronavirus experience, and considering the ramifications, not just for me, but for my family. I have family members in the service industries, for instance, for the economy, for people who are far less fortunate. And I've struggled a lot in certain areas, but the areas where I have not struggled are the places where I have rehearsed to the extent possible what might happen. So I think that has been one of the most powerful Stoic practices that I've been using in the last certainly 2 months.
Let's just start with what's on your mind and what this experience of quarantine has been like for you thus far.
Well, I first want to say, Sam, that I think you saved my life.
I am a person that has all these underlying conditions, and I was not taking this seriously, as so many people were not. And I'd even been, I have to go to the doctor a lot, and I'd even asked the nurse, what about this COVID or Corona? Is this a problem? And she said, oh, it's not a problem. It's a flu, and you just take some, you drink a lot of fluids, and you take some Tylenol. And it was so appealing to think that it was nothing. You want to believe the good news always. And so I was going along thinking everyone was hysterical. And then you just happened to send me an email, a short email about something else. And at the bottom you said, be careful. This is shaping up to be a really big deal. And that caught me. I thought, Sam is really smart. And this is the kind of thing he would be really smart about. And that kind of sat in my mind, but I still had to go to a work lunch. And as I was sitting in the work lunch, noticing the restaurant wasn't nearly as crowded as usual, the guy I was interviewing and our phones kept going off with all these different things being canceled. And while he was sitting there, a job he had booked that was really important to his family economically, financially I should say, dropped out. And so it was kind of just seeing someone in real time losing work and income. And I walked out of there, and I remember I never eat enough at a work lunch. I'm very nervous in work lunches, and I always, don't eat. And I was walking to the car, and I stopped in a drugstore, and I bought a candy bar, and I sat on it was a bench, a bus bench, a bus stop bench on Ventura Boulevard. And all of a sudden, I just thought, I need to go home. Sam Harris said this, I'm seeing a lot of signs in it, and I need to get home.